Yeah, so we have
Oh, they don't show yet.
we have absolutely no way of telling.
So they don't trigger the screen for the crystal unless you have all the pendants. Interesting.
So there was
yeah,
literally nothing in there that we could have gotten, or that we needed to get.
Alright, so, Thieves done?
Yeah, I think Thieves sounds the only... Well, not the only, the next place we gotta go.
Could do Misery Mire, but since we're already here.
Oh, we are going to get wrecked if we go into Misery Mire, though.
I just realized we can't do Misery Mire because immediately you're tasked with using your hook shot.
There are ways around that, but I also don't have the right bombos or ether medallion.
Oh. Oh, really? I didn't know that. There's actually like an alternate way to get across that one.
There apparently. I haven't done it myself, but speedrunners have.
Oh wow! Oh, shit. You know, I've never watched a speedrun of this game. This must be fascinating.
This game is a really fun. So there's a category for this game in speedrunning called reverse boss order.
Whoa!
Where let's make a save space here because we're at the
Oh yeah.
So this one's gonna be fun. Okay, Andy, what are you saying? This boss is easy if you have the bee? I didn't know you could cheese Mothra with the bee, and now I kind of wish I had, at some point in my life, cheese Mothra with the bee.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Thank you for that, Andy. That's really cool.
Okay, so
this game is cool.
What I'm gonna do is, we have the game saved. We can open 2 of these, and I kind of have no way of knowing which one is the actual, I have no way of knowing which one is the actual, like, piece of heart item.
Okay, so they remain the same.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see what happens if I just keep loading. If, like, oh no, it's gonna be different every time. Well, that one seems to be consistently bombs. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do is just keep opening these ones up and look for one where the sprite looks a little different.
Okay.
This is gonna be tough. I'm really hoping that we just open this and it's like a fucking hook shot, like.
Yeah.
So I know real clear, hey, Bozo, you don't have to keep playing this goddamn game.
And...
Oh, and here's the second room with Mario's head in it.
Oh.
Which I forget if that's only Japanese, Japanese only.
I don't know, I remember, for some reason, the way that the M looks on his head, I remember seeing that. Oh, but now I'm super curious. Oh, shit. I'm gonna have to...
Okay, so Andy's telling me that if you grab the bee in an empty bottle and release him in the boss room, he'll lock right onto Mothra and keep attacking him. His damage is super low, but he does a stun lock while attacking.
Oh my god.
Now, the worst would be if the item in this room was 100 rupees.
Oh, yeah, because...
And we just kept getting it. Because even if there's supposed to be, like, accompanying text with it, like, we won't get that. I mean, I don't think money's going to be a concern for the rest of the game. That's nice.
Nope. Or... most you've ever had, too. Okay.
Watch, they just put like half the items in this game randomly in this room. The fun thing is this thing is completely RNG as well. So if you're running 100% category of this game,
That must be annoying.
You have to keep doing this and the shovel game until you get those pieces of heart.
Oh, man. Good to keep going until something happens. By the way, I don't know why this is reminding me of it, but how are you enjoying Dragon Quest VIII on your 3DS?
It is. I haven't gotten to any of the like unique content yet, but I'm enjoying it. That game was my favorite game on the PS2, and damn, it plays good on portable.
That's fantastic to hear. That was definitely my favorite. I think my favorite JRPG on that system. Like, it's such, for anybody who hasn't played Dragon Quest VIII, like, it is out on 3DS. I don't think we could recommend a JRPG more than that one. Like, it is so good, and like, it is Dragon Quest. I feel like it is a perfect introduction to Dragon Quest.
If you want an RPG that doesn't overextend.
Yeah, that is such a good way to put it. It does not overextend. It is as in theme and like characters and like setting, no overextending. It's just really solid.
Yep. Christ, I might hit the 999 rupee limit. But yeah, it is just a very like, I love my Shin Megami Tenseis, but if you don't know RPGs well, that game will fucking rock you.
Yes.
As will a lot of the other RPGs I'd recommend on the PS2 are very complex guys. So stuff like,
yeah, they were trying a lot of shit on the PS2. Oh yeah, Disgaea. There's so many times like when I think of like, oh, I want to recommend Disgaea to people, and then I'm thinking like, well, there is about maybe 30% of Disgaea that I recommend to you, and if you really get into it, then you'll love the rest of Disgaea. But it is what they want you to do in that game is like kind of bonkers when you think about it.
Persona 4, if you're gonna play it on the Vita because it's made for that system.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Persona 4.
Yes. I remember we were talking about that, yeah.
I am extremely looking forward to Persona 5. But yeah. I was not a big fan of P4. I kind of feel like a lot of the characters in that game are two-dimensional to a fault when the game feels like it wanted credit for writing these really deep characters and then played them off as safe as humanly possible.
Interesting. Where Atlas has done, like, I feel like a good job in other games of having complex characters, though, would you say?
Persona 2 had a fantastic job of dealing with both, canon non-heterosexual relationship quite well, quite respectfully.
Yeah.
And then P4 turned the one character dealing with that into the biggest gay joke. Also, I'm pretty sure that once I started getting the chests that have one small heart in it, I think that's the game's way of... I think if you get the big heart and then pull a big heart chest again, you would get the small heart. So I'm pretty sure...
Ah, okay.
I think it might have just been bombs.
Okay, that's fine.
The Persona series are great, just Persona 3 and 4 are overrated. If you're like okay with that, they're good games.
Do you think 1 and 2 are a bit too Shin Megami Tensei for other people?
1 is fucking terrible.
Oh, really?
Ooh, and that's the 70 arrow upgrade.
Oh.
1 is fucking terrible. 1 is definitely too Shin Megami Tensei for its own good. 2 is perfect. Both Persona 2 games are fan-freaking-tastic.
Nice. 3
is unique. It was unique for its time. it took advantage of like a very modern feel for the PS2, and I had fun playing it. Like, I definitely had a lot of fun playing 3. But for my money, 2 is where it's at, and 3 just had too much dumb shit for me to, like... and when I say that, that is totally my opinion on that. I have friends who absolutely adore 4. I think it's weak sauce myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've always been more a fan of the other PS2 Shin Megami Tensei games. Like Nocturne is fucking astounding. It's hard as balls, but it's astoundingly beautiful.
It is. I was actually just playing it last week. I was just like, I should see if I can keep going with my file, and I'm like I'm almost level 60.
And that game never feels easy.
Gotta keep going.
It never feels easy.
It never does.
Oh,
but Digital Devil Saga.
DDS is fantastic. DDS is it's a time commitment because you gotta, you got 2 games, but they actually end up playing faster than like Nocturne.
I want to ask you about that because I actually downloaded both. They were both on sale on the PlayStation Store. I was just like, I better just do this now.
Yes. Or
I will regret it later. So I haven't started them yet, but I was wondering, since they did split it up, like how much faster are each game?
You're a lot more powerful in DDS than you are in Nocturne. Not to mention you have party members in your team. It doesn't have like that Pokemon style of gameplay where you gotta keep recruiting demons. In this one, you are set characters.
Okay, cool. I dig that.
And yeah, the story in DDS is phenomenal.
I was like digging the look of it from the moment I saw it. I was just like, oh, this is like future Wasteland, and it's like, obviously the artist, Kazuma Kaneko, his shit is some of my favorites. So it had a nice like a very future alien look to it, where things were just like kind of slightly off, maybe just because his art style lends to that. It has that weird smoothness.
Which I believe they brought him back for 4 and 4 Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. Some of his. So it's weird how those games work. So like, they'll use the same, illustrations for almost all their games. It's kind of like, well, this art is already good, so why not just reuse it? But 4 was more the guy who who did like Persona 3 and 4. However, Strange Journey was all Kazuma Kaneko.
Oh, Strange Journey was so good.
Strange Journey was my first Shin Megami Tensei, and I think I just lucked out because that's still my favorite Shin Megami Tensei.
I kept for a long time just saying that Strange Journey is it's true 4.
Yeah, yes.
And yeah, I agree with you, Smuck, that the dungeons can get a little mind-numbing at times, but still, that's nothing compared to like Megami Tensei 1. Oh my.
Oh man, Megami Tensei 1's brutal, and 2 too. Although I never played 2, I just remember seeing some videos of
the music
through a dungeon. That was just
fucking phenomenal, though.
Dude, I was actually gonna ask you, do you have the soundtrack? Because I have it, and I can give it to you if you'd like.
Yep. Well, rather, I have a YouTube video with the
soundtrack. I can give you the individual tracks if you want. Yeah, that shit. I think we also talked about this before because we were talking about the
sound chip.
The sound chip, yeah. It was just like that was one of the parts that was utilizing that.
It's got just that perfect like doon 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 doon. It almost sounds like a track and field game.
It does, yeah. It has a particular energy to it that I certainly didn't expect, being a Shin Megami Tensei newcomer, to hear.
Yeah.
But it totally rules.
Also, it's kind of interesting looking at that game nowadays because Atlas was also making NES games at that time, and they were not good.
What other games? Because I'm blanking.
Atlas did a bunch of like game show games. Like
What?
they did Concentration, I believe.
I've never heard of that.
They did a bunch of stuff that ended up being put under the LJN license of all things.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the like one that had like a bunch of sort of like whatever, like I didn't realize that you could do that. That is the better way to actually solve that room.
Yeah, it's one of the ones AVGN talked about a whole lot. But they weren't really like he talked about them like they were a game maker, and they're not. They're a game publisher.
Right.
And they published a bunch of games from studios like Rare and Atlas.
Oh, wow.
Before they were known for good games.
Yeah.
Oh, bug catching.
Hey!
Perfect room, too. Look at all these bugs.
Yeah. Critters. You've seen on, what was it, the carts for Megami Tensei, I think both 1 and 2, it actually says Namcot rather than Namco, but it's still using the same font.
Yeah, that was a little interesting.
Right? It's kind of, I want to know what the reason for that was, because every time I see it, I think it's sort of like, oh, this is a fake cart, when it's just like, no, it's just what they did. Only
Tengen, I believe, made fake NES cards. I mean, and Word Dreams, whatever the Bible company was.
Oh, that's wait, did Tengen, were they using the black cards?
They were using black cards that had like this weird like grab thing in it. So they use that for,
yeah, that's right.
They use that for baseball. They use that for Gauntlet. They use that for
So fucking weird. I don't know if you've heard of this, but I'm trying to remember the name. The guy who's doing it, but he was being interviewed on Giant Bomb. Steve Lin. He started. They managed to get off the ground the video game historical library. I don't know if that's the exact name, but basically they're trying to preserve all games that they can get in the best way possible. So they're doing their due diligence to research the best way to preserve stuff.
Huh.
And it's really fascinating because you get to learn about how, you know, if you were ripping, say, a ROM off a cart, like specifically like a Nintendo or NES, a Super NES cart, it's actually not, you're not getting the best version of that by just ripping the ROM. You could explain it better, but it's really cool, and it's definitely the episode before PAX. Whatever one they you can see he's in it. I could not recommend listening to that more. It's really great. They pretty much just talk about the history of games and preservation and what they're doing, and it's fascinating.
I gotta go check that out. Game preservation has always been and game comparison has always been a really interesting thing to me, particularly in how if you like one of my favorite YouTube channels is one called Game. I think now they go by now they go by that Game Historian or Game Historians, something like that. But they used to have a series called Let's Compare, which they would basically take all the different versions of Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or Pong or you know, stuff like that, and kind of show how like how did Pac-Man run on how did Pac-Man run on thank you very much, the map. How did Pac-Man run on arcade versus the ZX Spectrum versus the
awesome.
Atari 2600 versus the MSX 2 versus the eventual NES port.
That's really cool. That's fantastic, which I feel like a lot of people should learn about, because it back in the day, for anybody who's a really young, and like, if you had a port of a game on another system, odds are it would not act at all the same way. Like, we think of ports now, and everything is pretty much the same aside from maybe the resolution, depending on the system.
All people wanted were arcade perfect ports of Pac-Man at the time, and the best they could get was the Atari or Commodore 64. And it really wasn't until the NES that actually happened.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of wonder something.
By the way, I just thought it was funny when you went to go get blind, how you were just like, "You're coming with me," and she's like, oh, "Okay."
Yeah, you don't actually stop and do anything. Just... Okay, yeah. The mirror shield does not save me from that.
Now, would mirror shield block those?
Yeah, it'll block his fireballs, but it won't block the. It won't block his, like, Stalfos beams.
Uh-huh.
It's always one of the hardest fights in the game for me.
This is
bullet hell.
Freaking chaos. Yeah, it really is.
I do like, however, that when you're doing that, you're technically still holding your You're still holding your shield out, just at an angle.
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know if I want to use a potion on it, and I remembered I have 3,548.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good, the compass, again.
The fuck?